What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pinfalls and Playbooks podcast, episode number 33. As always, I'm your host, Fayez Kabir, alongside my co-host, Farden Khan. And guys, this week we're going to talk about we're just wrapped up Elimination Chamber. We're going to get right into those results, and pretty much the set is stone for WrestleMania plans going forward. In terms of sports, we're going to talk about our two favorite games in the NBA, as NBA action is fast-paced right now, as we're heading towards straight the playoff season right now. And in other words, we're going to also talk about some NFL news real quick, touch upon it in the offseason, as offseason is really starting to begin very soon. And lastly, we have our sideline heel takes this week. I think we got two really good ones, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, first up for our WWE recap, we're going to be talking about is Elimination Chamber. So Elimination Chamber just wrapped up, and we're talking about it right now. So our first thoughts and reactions, Women's Elimination Chamber was first up. And in my opinion, this match was extremely quick. Yeah. It was a fast Elimination Chamber. I remember last year's was really good, but this one was kind of it's pretty forgettable. Yeah. There's nothing crazy, no really big spots happened in this. But it ended up happening what everyone really thought was going to happen, especially the factor and the winner of this match really played off of what happened last night on SmackDown. And what happened on SmackDown is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky lost their women's tag team champions. So once that happened, it kind of opened the door for Rhea Ripley to pretty much win this match, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, she's the biggest superstar in terms of the women's roster right now, and it kind of we know that Liv Morgan is going to be challenging Stephanie Vaquer. We don't know who's going to challenge Jade Cargill. And then once we saw the title change last night, it kind of just made sense for Rhea Ripley to do it. Obviously, earlier this week, I know I had my prediction. I thought Tiffany Stratton was going to win. They were the final two. But Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill, sign me up. I'm all for it.
Yeah, they're the two biggest. I know WWE views them as for sure as the two biggest women's wrestlers and stars. And it's going to be interesting to see how they build it. Now they have 6 weeks to pretty much build this feud. I think they can definitely make it very interesting, especially with two powerhouses, women in the division. I think these two are going to have a really good match at WrestleMania. And obviously, we don't want to give our predictions right away, but first up, that match could either go either way, no matter what.
For sure, especially since the fact that we've seen Rhea Ripley in that main event stage for the women's roster for the last several years. Yeah. So this just fits perfectly. And I don't think we've ever seen a one-on-one between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley.
They never faced.
And this is the perfect time to do it, especially with what's been going on with the roster as of right now. Why not do it? I'm all for it.
Next up we had was Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee for the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. And this match pretty much started off pretty slow because these women were working a little bit slow. You could see that Becky Lynch was kind of holding back because of AJ Lee. It's obvious because AJ Lee doesn't get that enough reps versus Becky Lynch. But the match had a lot to do with the storyline with the referee because that's what the story is. Becky Lynch and this referee has been going back and forth the whole time. And that's exactly what happened in this. Becky Lynch ended up getting the referee involved, and the referee ended up taking some hits. We had a few spots where AJ Lee was picking up the win by tapping out by AJ Lee.
She tapped out.
She made Becky Lynch tap out originally, and then the ref didn't see it, so we thought in our minds, okay, Becky Lynch is retaining this. But there were so many shenanigans going on throughout this match. Becky Lynch ended up being in the referee's face at that point again.
Yeah, she took off the turnbuckle rope on the left side, and then she tried to push AJ Lee, but the ref stepped in. She was like, no, not on my watch, you're not doing this. This led to AJ Lee basically pushing her into the exposed turnbuckle, and then she ultimately got to the point where she did her submission move, and she ended up picking the victory.
Yeah, so AJ Lee gets that big moment of pretty much getting the championship
which was surprising to me because I thought this was going to go into WrestleMania. I'm sure this is not done.
Yeah.
This is definitely not done.
Exactly, because I think this feud is definitely still going into WrestleMania, and I do think that, honestly, already, I do think Becky's probably going to pick that title back up at WrestleMania.
Yeah, they probably just gave it to her just for the hell of it for the next 6 weeks.
She might as well is going to hold it for the next 6 weeks. She won it in her adopted hometown now, so it's for a feel-good moment, but overall, I think that this title is going to go back to Becky immediately after WrestleMania, by the time WrestleMania comes around. Next up we had was pretty much the Chicago favorite son, CM Punk versus Finn Balor for the WWE for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a good match in my opinion. It started off slow. They were getting into chain wrestling. That's what these guys, experienced wrestlers, like to do. Especially they wanted to give, I know CM Punk for sure wanted to give the crowd a good match. So they did some chain wrestling, but the match ended up picking up towards the last 10 minutes of the match where we had a lot of big moves. Finn Balor was going back and forth. These guys brawled outside for a little bit as well. And we had big power moves for both people. We had CM Punk had a couple of submission moves. He tried to attempt an Anaconda Vice into sharpshooter. Finn Balor hit a few coup de graces actually. And Punk kicked out all of them.
He's sling blade after sling blade. I thought the Judgment Day was going to get involved, but I guess not. He wanted to do it alone. And that's a good thing because while CM Punk did pick up the victory, We saw that possible face turn from
Yeah,
Finn Balor.
I think it's inevitable.
Which was inevitable, yeah.
I think it's inevitable, especially when you see the tension go backstage with Finn Balor and Dom Mysterio going forward. I think obviously Dom is going to be he's going to be actually giving up his title, I think, against Penta. Not giving it up, but like
the IC
defending.
title.
Yeah, defending the IC title against Penta. I think Dom's going to end up.
I think that's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's going to retain that, and he's going to ask for JD's, like, I believe, the entire Judgment Day's help. But Finn Balor probably won't be out there.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a point where he tells Dom, like, yo, you got to do this on your own. If I could do it, you could do it.
Yeah.
This is just ultimately going to come to the point where JD McDonough has to step in and tell Dominic Mysterio, like, yo, I got your back. This is going to lead to that change in Finn Balor's attitude moving forward, leading to the IC title match at WrestleMania, potentially.
And overall, it was a good match, in my opinion. So it was a good way, and I thought this entire match was going to be pretty much a story for Finn Balor to go face again.
Right.
And Punk ended up picking up the W, and that sets up the final main event for WrestleMania, which is Punk versus Roman Reigns, which is everyone's pretty much looking forward to. That's going to be the biggest match of WrestleMania. Next up we had was pretty much the mystery crate thing that everyone's been talking about.
This was so underwhelming. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So it's like, I had a feeling that, a lot of people in the wrestling community has been talking about Danhausen, who recently got released from AEW. He finally got out of his contract. And it was just a given at this point that once you saw and you heard the vampire, the coffin, all that noises, a lot of people knew that this was going to be it. I don't know what this character brings to WWE's table. He's a comedy character. I don't get it. I don't know why a lot of people do think that he can bring some type of value. I really never seen him wrestle like that. I've seen him do job matches. I've seen him win like stupid matches, but I don't know. I don't know why they think this was worth doing. But
I know, like, people have been swirling rumors over the last couple, because we saw the crate bouncing around between SmackDown and Raw, and everybody was asking, like, what's in it. We saw various superstars in the back.
You know what could have gave it away too? Those crates were all in segments with a bunch of mid-tier guys.
That's true too.
That should have gave it away right there.
Yeah, but still, even like, you would just have the guys there just for the attention to have it be there. You know what I mean?
But then when you think about it in reality, they probably did it for a reason, because this person's gonna be just another guy on the roster.
Yeah, and he just got into the ring, started dancing, lights went out, boom, there was gone. That's it. There was like a solid 2 minutes. That's all it was.
That's all it was. And I don't know what the story is for him. Maybe it might be something involved with R-Truth, probably going forward.
Probably.
R-Truth's been around I think he was in every single crate segment.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see him and R-Truth doing something maybe going forward. But next up we had the main event, which is the men's Elimination Chamber match. And this match started off pretty. It took a long time to start.
Well, that too. But the backstory is, we saw yesterday on SmackDown that Jey Uso got attacked by an unknown assailant. We don't know if it's the same assailant that attacked Jacob Fatu, but this ultimately led Jey Uso to not be in the match.
For sure.
And then I believe Nick Aldis, he announced the match later on. I believe it was Logan Paul
Jacob Fatu
versus Jacob Fatu to see who's going to be the last entrance in the Elimination Chamber. A lot of people thought it was going to be Jacob Fatu, but because of the injury that occurred with Braun Breaker, then we saw Bronson Reed get hurt. Obviously, Austin Theory, he lost the first match. This led to Logan Paul picking up the victory with a little bit help from Drew McIntyre, who attacked Jacob Fatu.
Just continues to further that storyline. And Logan Paul gets his spot in the chamber, and he pretty much was honestly the big MVP of this chamber at this point, because Logan Paul pretty much started this match off. Oh, he didn't start the match off, but he ended up getting the first elimination by eliminating Javon Evans. And I guess, like, Javon Evans, he didn't really get a chance to do any big spots. I thought there was going to be a lot more chances for him to do it. He just had a frog splash. That was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do, like, a cutter or something.
Or something. But, like, the thing with this entire Elimination Chamber match, it just felt it was rushed.
I think so, too. Especially, I don't know. I just feel like the ESPN pay-per-views, they've all been, like, just time-constricted for some strange reason.
I get it why. They probably have analytics and everything that probably be like, okay, we got to stick within these parameters. This is the time that amount of people watch and don't lose attention spans or whatever it is. They probably have it down to a science at this point. But my thing is, this entire chamber probably was blown up so many times because I bet you Braun Breaker was part of it.
That's true.
Then Bronson Reed was part of it, and now Logan Paul was a part of it. It was probably blown up so much that they just wanted to get it rushed and just finished and get out of it.
Exactly.
So Logan Paul ends up eliminating Javon Evans. Then we had LA Knight, who was pretty much going to eliminate. I think he was trying to work on Logan Paul, but he ended up getting involved with Trick Williams. Then he had a pretty embarrassing moment where he tried to do
he botched
step
his
up.
usual jump up into
into an elbow, botched that. So that already kind of made him look like a fool. And then it led to Logan Paul hitting him with a low blow and rolling him up. And LA Knight, this story was done right there.
Yeah.
So
much for my prediction.
LA Knight was out. Then we had, I believe it was Cody Rhodes, Trick Williams, Logan Paul, and Randy Orton still left. So what was going on there is Trick Williams was fighting Logan Paul. He put him to the side a little bit. Then we had Randy Orton. I believe he was pretty much on the sidelines, was going to try to take out a Trick, but Trick ended up pretty much taking him out, which ultimately led to Cody Rhodes hitting a crossroads on Trick Williams. And then Logan Paul, being the sneaky heel, picked up the W and pretty much stole the pin from Cody Rhodes, and that was Logan Paul's third elimination in the Chamber.
Technical elimination.
And after that happened, a bunch of tomfoolery started happening.
Oh my God, it was crazy. That last 5-10 minutes was
it picked up. There was a lot of action. So first we start off with the Masked Man again, but this time it was another Masked Man Part 2, where it was Seth Rollins.
Part 3 probably.
Yeah, Part 3 at this point, where it was another one of Seth Rollins' goons pretty much trying to do a decoy, which led to ultimately Seth Rollins being on the side and getting into the chamber, attacking Logan Paul and taking out the Vision. So the storyline is continuing with Seth Rollins and the Vision. It makes you think, obviously, okay, this probably would have been a role that Braun Breaker was in, where this was set up. This Logan Paul entire role was probably for Braun Breaker. And it
probably started out as Braun, then when Braun got hurt, then went to Bronson, then when he got hurt, it led to Logan.
So it now makes you think, what is the story going forward for Seth Rollins and the Vision? Is he going to face Logan Paul one-on-one at WrestleMania? Is that really the match? Or is it going to be
Bronson Reed if he comes back?
Bronson Reed's out for a while, actually. That's confirmed for sure, because he actually torn his bicep, so he's out for like 6 to 8 months.
Damn.
Not him. But Braun Breaker, with his hernia injury, they're saying that there's rumors of him training and getting back in time for it. So if that happens, then that's your way to finally put the Vision story pretty much to an end at that point. But Seth Rollins is back. It looks like he's going to be on probably Raw tomorrow. And the entire crowd popped. That was probably the biggest pop of the night, was when Seth Rollins came out. The entire crowd started singing along for him.
I just want to say one thing. I just feel like the WWE crowds over the last couple of months, it just hasn't felt the same, like ever since the clock turned to 2026. I just feel like it's just, well, outside of the European crowds.
You know, the thing is, it's about the crowds, but also the buildings are getting full too. So it's like, I don't know if it's just the crowds themselves just not being active.
Or I just feel like people are just catching on that there just hasn't been any interesting storylines.
That's true. Like, what are you going to cheer if there's nothing interesting?
You're going to hear Roman Reigns come out tomorrow, and it's going to be a lot more packed full in Indianapolis and stuff like that. So,
but the crowd, I don't know. I think the last 5 minutes and 10 minutes, the crowd did pick up because there was action going on.
That's what I'm saying. There just hasn't been that. Like I remember last week, we were watching that Raw. I'm like, yo, what's going on? We saw Bronson Reed get hurt, and then we had that whole situation with Maxime Dupree, and it just
the crowd killers. Yeah. That's what it is, and it sucks because obviously this year has been a lot of injuries in wrestling.
Yeah.
So, when they happen, it kills the momentum, it kills the crowd, and it's what's going to happen. But they picked up towards the end of the year where we had the final 3 left was Logan Paul. Logan Paul was out. We had final 2 left. It was Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. But before the cage could even close, we had Drew McIntyre scurry in and pretty much get involved in here, where it turned into a quick little triple threat where Randy Orton hit an RKO on Drew into a crossroads, and then immediately Randy Orton catches Cody Rhodes with an RKO.
The Viper that he is.
Stole it, basically picked up the win and punched his ticket to WrestleMania at this point. So currently, right now, it is Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. But I think we all know that this is not going to be the match at WrestleMania.
No.
We all know Cody Rhodes is going to be in this match involved no matter what.
Although that is a good main event, what will make it better is getting Cody, and what would make it even more better is if they possibly get Jacob Fatu.
For sure.
Which is what everybody's been clamoring for the last few weeks.
And storyline-wise, it's Drew McIntyre screwed all of these guys at one point.
So he's just returning the favor, basically, whatever happened to him.
And I do think that this is going to end up being a fatal 4-way at WrestleMania to close out night 1. That's got to be the big match.
It's just a matter of time. Probably this Friday on SmackDown, we're going to see Randy Orton do a promo. Cody Rhodes comes out saying whatever he wants to say. Probably Jacob Fatu comes out saying whatever he wants to say. There's just going to be mayhem where there's going to be some matches in the next couple of weeks. And just ultimately, Nick Aldis caves in. He's like, you know what? This is now going to be a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania.
And that's pretty much what Elimination Chamber was. Overall, it was a whatever pay-per-view. It's nothing.
Another super mid pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was nothing compared to last year, because you remember last year was such a the big thing of last year was the John Cena heel turn.
Yeah.
Like, everybody talked about Elimination Chamber after that.
Just now, the biggest thing was just Seth Rollins returning. And
right.
We don't know what the future lies with Cody Rhodes, especially now that Randy Orton won.
And we get to see pretty much now things are pretty set in stone where we're heading straight to WrestleMania.
We have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah, and
forward.
now it's pretty much the next 6-week push into WrestleMania where they're going to try to build it as much as you can be, because I think these 6 weeks are extremely critical for WWE, because they have been talking about how ticket sales have not been selling as much compared to last year. And that's obviously because storyline-wise. Why do you think last year happened? Because they had a lot of more stories already developed by this time. You
went from 2023, which is a good year, to 2024. Obviously, they had the Hollywood strike and everybody was involved, The Rock and stuff like that. Last year was John Cena's final year, so they just kind of made it more dramatic.
Now this year, you have no crutches. You
Yeah.
have to build the stories what you actually have with the characters that you have left.
Right.
And that makes them even more challenging. It makes the stories a lot more challenging to create. And you got to create the big build for the next 6
I'm
weeks.
sure that people know that the Roman and CM Punk, that's going to be cinema regardless.
Those guys are going to have crazy promos back and forth.
What's going to happen next? Obviously, if they're building towards this fatal 4-way match, that's got to be a big thing. It's got to sell out somehow, some way. They got to create some spark.
That's what I'm saying.
Some intensity,
And then you have Brock Lesnar, who's announced for 4 or 5 shows in between.
Especially now that he announced that he's going to have a so-called open challenge. People have been saying Obafemi. There's obviously a lot more people that are out there.
And then there's a lot of stories they need to build. What the hell's Gunther still going to do at WrestleMania?
I forgot about Gunther,
You cannot have a show without Gunther on that damn show. So there's a lot of things they need to build for this next 6 weeks. That's why I think these 6 weeks are going to be extremely important.
Yeah.
And they're going to see a lot of storylines play out. But it's the straight-on push to WrestleMania. And I'm excited for the next 6 weeks. I'm very curious to see where all of this plays out. But WrestleMania season is now finally picking up. And it's time to go. And we're ready here. We're ready to talk about it all. But I think Elimination Chamber overall was pretty mid. Now it's time to get over that mid and let's get into 2 really good WrestleMania nights where they're building at it.
Let's pick up the pace over here.
Right, but that sums up our wrestling recap for this week. All right, guys, now it's time for our NBA recap. And first things first, we're going to start off with our 2 favorite games for this week. Farhan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so we came back full swing in the NBA All-Star break, and every game's been picking up. The playoff heat is pushing up. First game I want to talk about is the Magic and the Lakers. The Magic, they won this game in a close game, 110-109. This was a back-and-forth game, in literally towards the end. It was just boring going up, and then after maybe 3 minutes left, it just picked up like crazy. Both of these teams right now, based on their conference, they're in the mid-tier section. I believe the Lakers are 4th or 5th, 5th or 6th seed. The Magic, they're fighting in the play-in spot. So this is a big game for both teams, and the Magic, they ultimately pulled this up. We had a big game from Paolo Banchero. He put up 34 points.
Yeah.
And then we had Desmond Bane hit a go-ahead shot, literally with 6 seconds left. And this is good for the Magic because I know I've talked about it when the NBA season began, that the Magic, they've had some promise. But the thing about the Magic, they didn't have Franz Wagner for pretty much the whole season. So this is why they've been struggling all throughout, and this is why they're in the position that they win. Now the Lakers, I don't know what's going on with them. This was I believe their 3rd straight loss at the time. And you have LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves is finally coming back. But we just don't know what's going on with the team. We don't know if there's a teammate chemistry problem. Luka's pretty much carrying the load as of right now. In this game in particular, I believe he almost had a near triple-double as he always does. And I believe to win the game, he actually passed up the shot and gave it to LeBron. And I'm not sure that was a big idea, but coming out the All-Star break, they haven't looked really good. They got spanked by the Celtics a couple of days before this. So back-to-back losses, it's I don't know. Something's got to give with the Lakers. I feel like it's J.J. Redick. I just don't think he's fit to be a head coach, but that's a topic for another day. Next game I want to talk about is the Nuggets and the Warriors. The Warriors, they won this game 128-117. Now, the thing about the Warriors, they have not had a full healthy team since December maybe.
Yeah, I can't watch that team, honestly.
Yeah,
they're not watchable
we're
without
watching
Steph
them
Curry.
right now against the Lakers, and they're getting spanked. But in this game in particular, they're no-show people. They showed out.
Showed out in this game,
Yeah, and they had a super short-handed team. And they had a big game from Moses Moody. Al Horford turned back the clock, that dinosaur. Brandon Podziemski's been playing pretty good for them. But overall, the Warriors, they're not going to go if Steph Curry's not there. Obviously, they lost Jimmy Butler for the whole season. Draymond Green's it is what it is with Draymond
He's
Green.
Draymond Green. That's what he is.
The Nuggets, on the other hand, we had a traditional 30-20 game, 12 assists from Nikola Jokic, probably front runner for MVP right now. But the Nuggets, everybody else, they're not really. No, you have no fear in everybody else on that team.
Yeah.
Like you have Nikola Jokic, you have Jamal Murray, and then nobody else after that. Obviously, we've been clamoring for Aaron Gordon to come back, but we don't know when that's going to be, if he's going to be even upright. But overall, this was just a bad loss for the Nuggets because you lost to a team that has none of their stars. And at the end of the day, you're a title contender. So they just got to pick it up also. Like the Lakers and the Nuggets, we figured these two teams to be in that upper echelon in the Western Conference. But as of right now, they're looking very sus. And this is the time to get their playoff hopes up and get higher seed position.
And the Nuggets actually recently lost to the Thunder too.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my top 2 games of the week.
Yeah, for me, first up is gonna be talking about recently is the Suns versus the Lakers. So the Suns won this game 113-110, and I want to quickly just start off talking about how there is no reason why the Lakers should have lost this game, in my opinion. And it's strictly, I am blaming JJ Redick. I think JJ Redick definitely needs to go. There is zero defense being played on the damn Lakers. Though none of them play defense. Luka Doncic literally plays no defense. LeBron James gave up playing defense 10 years ago. The entire Jared Vanderbilt, who at that time people considered a really good defender, he's not. He's very bad. Their best defender is Marcus Smart. And Marcus Smart is 50 years old at this point. So I'm a little confused on what the Lakers are really doing at this point. So I get that Luka Doncic is going to get you your 40 points and your triple doubles no matter what. Luka's going to get his numbers. But you're not winning games like that. And it's obvious because let's talk about another thing. DeAndre Ayton. I don't know if you've been hearing what's going on with DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton actually put his own team on blast, saying that the Lakers are not using me enough. They're trying to make me feel like a Clint Capella. That is the words he used while facing Clint Capella on the Suns. Do you want to know what he did against his former team? He put up 4 points against Clint Capella, who he literally talked shit about. They both had a shit off. They both had 4 points. So I was like, these two did nothing. The Phoenix Suns won this game without Devin Booker, without Dillon Brooks, who Dillon Brooks was actually playing like an all-star as well, too. So Devin Booker is an all-star. They didn't play. This game was literally won because of coaching and because of picking apart Luka Doncic on the defensive side. Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen literally destroyed Luka Doncic.
White boys.
The 2 white boys, all they did was put Luka Doncic in pick and rolls and get him in transition as a mismatch. Once you get past him, that entire offense opened up for the Phoenix Suns, and that's exactly what they did. The entire defense looked abysmal for the Lakers, and if they need to do a coaching change, I think immediately after the season's over.
Because it's like, you got to find something to blame, but nobody's really blaming JJ Redick for it. Like, people say he's a good basketball mind, but I don't think he's fit to be a head coach.
And the thing is, the offense is working, but the offense is working primarily because of Luka Doncic's talent.
Yeah.
That's the only reason the offense is working.
And you take them off the court, they're not even, I don't know.
If they're not even on the team, I think they would be like literally the worst team in California. I think they would be worse than the Kings, honestly, if Luka Doncic was not on that team. But the Suns are actually surprisingly in the mix of getting they're in playoff contention. Well, the Suns are winning games.
And they're not even in the play-in either.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The Suns are winning games.
Nah.
Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks have been winning games for them. They've been quietly having a really good season. But when it comes to the Lakers, it's just a continuous trying to look like what it's starting to look like who really won that trade, the Lakers or the Mavs. It's not looking good for either of those teams, honestly.
The teams in its outright, the Lakers definitely won. But based off of the play that's been going on, we can't answer that really.
Right, and it's just the Lakers just need. This is not the Lakers of obviously what the entire Laker fan wanted to see this year. But you can't really do anything else because the Lakers just don't have enough to win games. And it's never going to change, especially without defense being played. Next up, we had the Cavs versus the Pistons. Now, the Cavs actually played this game without James Harden and without Donovan Mitchell. And they did lose this game. But honestly, this was another impressive performance for the Cavaliers, in my opinion. They pretty much stayed toe-to-toe with the top team in the East without their 2 star players. and made it extremely competitive. This game went to overtime.
And the Pistons are healthy too.
And the Pistons had their full team they didn't have Isaiah Stewart.
No.
So that does play a factor, honestly. But the Pistons, they ended up winning this game. Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham are looking like the two best duos in the NBA right now. And Cade Cunningham continues to prove why I think he's my MVP right now. He continues to play really good against these top teams. And it's not even just top teams, against bad teams. He's putting up numbers, and he's winning meaningful games. That's the good thing about the Pistons. They're winning these games that matter. They're not just beating regular teams. They're beating top-tier teams and making statements out of it. But for the Cavs, I think it's a huge thing that they almost beat the Pistons without Harden and Mitchell. And it continues to show why I think the Cavs are going to be very scary to watch going forward.
Yeah.
But those are two. I think those two are probably my favorite two teams right now in the East. Watching them two, they're the two. Yeah, the Cavs and the Pistons. I think they're the two best teams in the East right now, especially if they have all their healthy players. So that might be a possible Eastern Conference Final matchup. We don't know yet, but those are my two favorite games I saw this week. There's a lot of questions going into, I guess, into March and April. There's going to be a lot where we see who and where the seedings play out. But I think the NBA playoffs this year is going to be crazy because you have a lot of teams that can kick out another high-level team. Because, I don't know, I feel like there's no really dominant team.
I think we could say that the first seed in both conferences are set.
Yeah,
I think the Pistons and the Thunder, they're going to be set for one. We see the Spurs taking full control of the number 2 seed.
They went undefeated in February.
Yeah, and they did?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
They didn't lose a game in February.
So they're going to take hold of the 2 seed, and then obviously in the Eastern Conference, the Boston's the 2 seed as of right now.
Yeah.
The Knicks, they're, I believe, 3 games behind the Celtics. Obviously, the rumors of Jason Tatum coming back. He's been doing scrimmages with the team.
Yeah.
The Cavs been hot. They actually are a game and a half out behind the Knicks. So I would say mid to late March we'll know what the actual position is going to be. And we don't even know what the play-in is going to look like. Obviously, in the Eastern Conference, it's pretty much the same 4 teams every year. It's going to be the Hornets. It's going to be the Bulls somehow. The Heat. I forgot who else is over there, but
maybe the Magic if they fall out.
And the Magic, I forgot about the Magic. And then in the Western Conference, you actually have like a very interesting
it's
Western
all over the
Conference.
place.
It's a wild, wild West.
And that's the thing, like some of those teams in the West, they can pick up wins against actual playoff matchups that they have against, like, for example, the upper echelon teams like Utah Jazz. Like there's a lot of teams where I can definitely see picking up a win. Obviously, I think the better teams will come out of those playoff matchups.
They just got to start winning for sure, and then we'll see if they can make some noise, especially with the young players that they have. But also, there's a lot of teams with winning records in the West.
Yeah, but the West is, but you know what they always say. The West has always had the better teams and the better records. But that wraps up our NBA recap for this week. All right, guys. Now we have some NFL news that we want to recap real quick because we do have NFL offseason really picking up next week.
Yeah, so the new league year, it starts on March 11th. That's pretty much when free agency starts. And teams are preparing to use, I know teams are already starting their franchise tender tag. We saw earlier this week that George Pickens got a franchise tag. He's probably looking for a longer-term deal. I'm not sure if the Cowboys are going to deal him. They shouldn't at this point. We don't know with Jerry Jones. But at the end of the day, he got his money as of right now. I know he's looking for that long-term deal. Breece Hall, we don't know what the Jets are going to do, but the rumors are that if they can't meet his price, they are willing to franchise tag him.
That's just not going to make him happy, though.
No, it won't. But at the end of the day, the quarterback's the more important position for that team. Yeah. And if they can solidify Breece Hall for longer term, it'll give them that flexibility to, if they should draft a quarterback or get somebody on like a rental or whatever and just look forward to the future. You know that Travis Etienne just had his best year of his career with the Jaguars. And he's looking also for a franchise tag. And there's definitely been some crazy trade rumors swirling around.
It's actually picking up a lot.
Yeah, we'll talk about some best fits. The number 1 name as of right now is A.J. Brown. That guy's always been on some next level shit.
There's actually been a lot of talks in the last 2 days with A.J. Brown. I don't know if you've seen it. It's been getting more.
I think if they're smart, they should. The Bills should trade for him. The Bills have no outside weapons. Obviously, we talk about Khalil Shakir, but
they're not number one.
They're not number 1. A.J. Brown wants the ball. Josh Allen would definitely get him the goddamn ball. And at the end of the day, if Josh Allen gets that playmaker that he deserves, they'll take that next leap to get at least back to the conference championship game, depending on who they play, and then possibly go to the Super Bowl, because we've yet to see the Bills in the Super Bowl for years.
Yeah. The other big talk everybody always talks about A.J. Brown is his relationship with Mike Vrabel. They obviously played together in Tennessee. So the New England Patriots are pretty much a prime destination for A.J. Brown to go. I don't see why not. You know Drake May gets the ball to his receivers. That's what he does. I think he will definitely get the ball to A.J. Brown.
You know what would be funny, though? If they had those sideline like clips of Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown on the sideline.
So here's a story that I don't know if you know about, but the Patriots are actually looking to let go of Stephon Diggs.
Oh.
So Diggs is most likely looking like that he's not going to be returning to New England. So I think that's just honestly a one and done for Diggs. Not sure if it has to do with politics or if it's just with play. I don't think it has to do with play, and honestly,
well, if you basically get a Ferrari on like a Mercedes,
right?
With AJ Brown.
And the thing with Diggs, like we know his relationship with Vrabel is pretty good.
Yeah.
They look tight,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's playing politics on the upper hand where Kraft might not want him or just teams don't want to touch him right now because of situations that he has going off field.
Right.
But A.J. Brown, if Diggs is gone, I think Patriots are making a huge push for A.J. Brown, in my opinion. And I wouldn't see a reason why they wouldn't.
I feel like a lot of analysts and player personnel, they've always talked about that relationship, and it just
it's
a
why
good
not?
fit.
And you put him on. Well, you put him with Drake May, and you know Drake May is going to get him the ball.
100%.
So I would like to see that happen. I want to see what they would give up for it, though. I wouldn't.
It's got to be at least a second round.
That's what I'm
pick,
saying.
yeah.
Like I don't think he's not a first round pick trade offer, in my opinion. Not at this stage.
No.
So if you can get away with some few rounders in the end, why not? Just do it and then pay him whatever he wants. I think the Patriots have enough cap space to still pay him too.
Yeah.
So that'd be great to see. Next up is the other big target is Max Crosby.
Yeah, so he's on we don't know what the franchises of the Raiders is going to be like.
Yeah.
They had the number 1 pick. They're going to get Fernando Mendoza. They're basically in a rebuilding phase, and we don't need to see this superstar of a player rot away his career in Vegas. And obviously it's Vegas. That's
you never
one
know.
thing.
Fernando Mendoza can come in and change the entire system.
That's true. Don't get me wrong.
So,
but as of right now, he's the second biggest name in the trade rumors.
Yeah.
Where I would want to see him personally is in Chicago with the Bears. I feel like the Bears, they didn't really have that pass rusher that elevated them on the defensive side.
Yeah.
We saw them have a great linebacking core. We saw them have a great secondary with Jalen Johnson and those cats. But they didn't really have that difference maker on the defensive line where they got to the quarterbacks and they pressured him to force more turnovers. And they led the league in turnovers.
Yeah.
So imagine adding Max Crosby to that defensive front that'll allow them to create that pressure, create possibly even more turnovers. I just feel like it just kind of makes sense for that move. At the end of the day, they're going to be at the top of that division for years to come with Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson being the mindset and if you get Max Crosby, that might push them over the edge.
Yeah, that's a good fit. In my opinion, I do think he stays. I think he stays to ride out and see what this year is with Fernando Mendoza. I think he's the type of player to kind of owe it to the Raiders organization to give them a chance to see what it is when they finally have actually a number 1 quarterback that they're banking on.
Yeah.
Let's see how that plays out. But if he doesn't stay, the other team I have is go to the West and you go to the Chargers.
So you just go to the rivalry.
I think you go to the rivalry. I think you go to the Chargers. They need some help on that defensive end side. I think it'd be great to have them. Then I guess the Chargers defense gets even better, in my opinion, if you add Max Crosby to it. You have a lot more pressure. Joey Bosa comes back. I'm sorry, Joey Bosa's not even on that team anymore, is he?
No.
So
Khalil Mack.
And then you have Max Crosby, 2 former Raiders, technically.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of interesting to see them on the Chargers. But the next name, and pretty much another big name receiver, is Justin Jefferson. Now, Justin Jefferson, there's not really trade talks about him, but this obvious that a lot of fans and a lot of people probably think he doesn't want to be in Minnesota anymore.
Yeah, the fact that he lost Sam Darnold last year, and then he had to suffer through like 4 quarterbacks this year. And we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's potential is going to be. He looked like a bum to start the season.
Yeah.
And looked like a bum when he came back. And that team is pretty much a quarterback away to making some noise. And we don't know who that quarterback is going to be. And if he is on the trade market, where I would want to see him go is to the rivalry to the rivals, Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
We've always talked about that.
They
Jordan
need the
Love,
one, man.
And they need a one. Then Jordan Love can't get it over the hump once he gets that. And if you add arguably the best wide receiver
When
in the
healthy,
league,
yeah.
when healthy, to that team, I don't see why not. That'll push them over the edge like crazy.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons, he got a torn ACL, so he's out for the season. So you put those two guys like for
On
a
the
full
field, yeah.
season,
Yeah.
yo,
Packers
would
look
be
good.
scary, very scary.
For me, I have two teams where I like to see him in, actually. San Francisco, I think him in the Bay, with Brock Purdy and that offense, with Kittle coming back healthy, hopefully, and McCaffrey still playing like how he plays, that offense would spread up like crazy. Especially with a big year that Jawan Jennings also had, and Ricky Pearsall. That's a good receiving core if you add Justin Jefferson to it.
That makes sense.
I
yeah.
like to see him in the Bay. The other option is you want to go win a chip, you go play for Denver, the Broncos. Why not put him in Denver? Cortland Sutton's not a 1. He's a good bona fide 2 in my opinion. You put him with Bo Nix, I don't see why not.
Makes sense.
That's another good team. I can see Justin Jefferson going to play and make an impact immediately.
Yeah.
So those are 3 good teams that we both gave for Justin Jefferson, even though there is no talk of really Justin Jefferson going anywhere. But
Yeah.
just a lot of us do expect him wanting to leave. But that's what we think. Next up is we have a few names left where we kind of want to talk about exactly what the story is going to be with them.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill, he got released by the Dolphins a couple of weeks ago. And this was actually surprising because we weren't really expecting. He suffered a torn ACL, and he's not going to be the same Tyreek Hill he once was.
Right.
But he's still Tyreek Hill. He's still the cheetah. He'll still get you the deep balls whenever you need to. I don't know where I see him outside of Kansas City. But the thing about Kansas City is they're not going to have Patrick Mahomes till maybe like towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And we don't even know if they're going to be in playoff positioning at the time. Where I would love to see him, I would see him on the Patriots, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just feel like
As a deep ball threat.
yeah, like I know you've mentioned the touch that Drake May has, and
Yeah.
you give Tyreek Hill or you give Drake May a speedster like that that'll take the top off of defense.
Yeah, technically our deep
spread
ball.
out- yeah.
Our deep ball is Kayshawn Booty, but
Yeah, but you
Tyreek Hill
give
is not
Tyreek Hill,
Keyshawn
who's
Booty.
probably the best deep ball threat of all time in
Yeah.
some people's eyes. I think it would be a good fit for them.
For me, I was thinking Buffalo.
That too,
I
yeah.
think he would go to Buffalo because I just think he's the type of player that Josh Allen would like to play with, and I don't see why he wouldn't want to play with Josh Allen because think about it this way: you have a deep ball threat, and Tyreek Hill can say that he played with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
That's true.
So I could definitely see him saying something like that where he takes pride in that. So Tyreek Hill, we'll see where he ends up going. He's definitely going to get signed to a team,
Yeah.
but we don't really know where yet. But those are 2 predictions that we have. Next up is Mike Evans, right?
Yeah, so I know both of us would want to see him retire with the Bucks.
Yeah,
he's he's
I
probably
think
their
so.
best wide receiver in their franchise history. But if he decides to move on, he should go to Baltimore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Give Lamar Jackson some help. Obviously, Zay Flowers, he's not known for his, I guess, when it comes to big time moments. He's not really known for that, like that
Right.
extra elevation. And you give Lamar Jackson a big threat on the red zone, it takes the load off of him. It takes the load off of Derrick Henry because I know they'd be trying to force the balls into the end zone all the time. Mark Andrews is not the Mark Andrews of old. So you give them that red zone threat. I don't see why they shouldn't get him.
I don't hate that. I have a big one where I think he could make an impact. He obviously wouldn't be the one here anymore, but I think he'd be a really good red zone threat. And I think he's just at this point in his career where he's going to just be a red zone threat. Cincinnati. You put him with the Bengals, you make him a big threat because think about it this way. Jamar Chase plays amazing in the slot. You put him in the slot and then you have your 2 big men out on the wide. That gives more weapons for Joe Burrow.
But that's the thing is, would the Bengals have the money to pay him?
It depends how. I think he's so much at a lesser point of his career that you can get away with giving him a lower contract to go play for another ring.
True.
So that's the only reason why I think if they make the offer for a low contract just to be like, hey, you get to come play with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who you can kind of put under your wing.
Makes sense.
That'd be a nice player I could see him going.
Yeah.
And last up is what Farden considers probably the biggest quarterback in the market that no one's really talking about is Malik Willis.
Yeah, so We saw him thrive in the Green Bay system, and I'm sure that when you give a quarterback a good coach, they'll elevate their game. We saw that with Sam Darnold, with Kevin O'Connell. Now we saw him win a Super Bowl with Mike McDonald. Malik Willis, he got failed in Tennessee, went to Green Bay, backed up Jordan Love, and he's looked solid whenever he was on the field. And he's going to be the most coveted free agent quarterback. I'm sure he's going to get at least 20 plus mil a year.
See, like that's the crazy thing. He's getting that contract. That means he has to go somewhere to play.
Right. And as much as I would love to see him on the Jets, I feel like the Jets are going to fail him anyways, like they do pretty much anybody else. I would see him, if the experiment doesn't go well with Quinn Ewers, I would see him in Miami, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I feel like they had this.
So you're over Tua.
That guy lives in my head rent free right now. They're gonna get rid of Tua eventually. I feel like the Miami fit makes sense. They already have the infrastructure in Miami. They have the offense. They have Devon Achane. They have Jalen Waddle. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, but you could replace him with whatever you decide to do in the draft.
For sure.
And you give him that South Beach energy. I'm sure if you throw him some money, he'll play really well in Miami. So I think Miami would be a perfect fit for him.
I get that. For me, I think it's going to be Arizona, the Cardinals. I think he'll be a really good fit in Arizona.
You think they're going to get rid of Kyler Murray?
I think they're going to pass from Kyler. I do think that it's possible that Kyler could be a Jet. I don't know why.
I'd kill myself if
I
he was a Jet.
Like, those rumors are getting... I hear a lot more of those rumors. Kyler Murray is a Jet.
He's basically a shorter, but a little more competent Justin Fields who could throw the ball.
Yeah, so let's see. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think that the Cardinals are going to move on from Kyler Murray, which you get Malik Willis in there, and you have him with a good team, actually, offensive-wise. That team is not bad offensively.
Yeah, Michael Wilson showed out.
Showed out.
Marvin Harrison, he needs a lead. Trey McBride's the best tight end in the league right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have a competent quarterback that is actually making good plays, I don't see why not the Cardinals can be really decent. Because their defense is always questionable, but offensive-wise, you get a good quarterback, you get a good offense going around him, I can definitely see that team making some noise next season.
Makes sense.
But let's see what they do with their quarterback position. But overall, that's pretty much all the news that's going on in the NFL, and we're going to start talking about it, especially in the next few weeks, if anything big happens in free agency. But that sums up our NFL recap for this week. All right, guys, now it's time for the sideline heel takes for this week. And Farden, I'll let you go first with yours.
Yes, so the MLB season is starting up. We're in spring training, but right before the season starts, we're going to have the World Baseball Classic.
Yep. This
is a fun thing for baseball because you have all these great superstars representing the country that they play for. In the U.S. side, you have Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Bobby Witt. The Dominican Republic team, it's just straight up nasty. Like, how do you have an outfield of Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, and Julio Rodriguez? Yeah. You got Jose Ramirez at third base, Ketel Marte at second base. That team is loaded. And I feel like this is great for baseball in its own right because it gives fans something to look forward to. But my sideline heel take this week is the MLB needs to replace spring training with some incentivized tournament style thing, like how the NBA has the Emirates Cup. And at the end of the day, spring training, a lot of people don't really care about. What people do care about, if you're a crazy baseball fanatic, let's just say that, is the younger athletes that are in the minor leagues that don't really get the playing time in the big leagues. They get that opportunity to come to spring training to show their game. Like, for example, I'm a Yankee fan. Yankees been playing games with Spencer Jones. He's been tanking balls in spring training. George Lombard's been looking like a solid third baseman for them. He's been getting hits. Overall, we've seen various teams bring up their younger athletes, and they've been showing out. Another thing about spring training that nobody really cares about is the fact that these players come, they show what they've, I guess, improved on the offseason with their mechanics and stuff like that. But baseball is just really a mind game, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You got to know when to swing and miss and stuff like that. But if you add a tournament-style thing at the beginning of the season, it'll definitely give those younger players an opportunity to get the money or whatever they need. Obviously, they don't make enough. They don't make fucking $70 million like Shohei does, that Juan Soto does. But overall, if they get that opportunity, you'll see some rising stars. Another thing I want to touch upon, is that the World Baseball Classic, it happens every 2 years. And while that is great for baseball, what are they going to do in the other 2 years in between that? You know what I mean? And baseball is a global style event, and they'll get the international pool. And at the end of the day, when you have this level of competition for teams, like here's how I would do it. I'll start there. I would get the teams with the best records from previous year, rank them from 1 to 30, right? And then you have the seedings where you play 1 to 30. You have a game each day. Obviously, baseball players, they pretty much play every day.
Yeah.
So it kind of just would make sense to have this tournament style going into the season. It'll give fans something to watch to, and it'll create money for the leagues. You'll get fans and more invested into the game. They'll want to go visit, and it'll just create some proper thing. Because at the end of the day, spring training, I don't watch spring training, and I love baseball. I pretty much watch every single Yankee game throughout the whole season. But I could care two shits about spring training. So if you incorporate something like this, I think it'll be benefits for the league. It'll be benefit for the younger players coming in, and definitely the international pool. But yeah, I just feel like they just gotta abandon this idea of spring training while the World Baseball Classic is not in session, and create this tournament style incentivized program for the players.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's not a bad idea, definitely, because like you said, like as a World Baseball Classic, you have that to focus on. But in between, if you decide to throw in this incentivized tournament for those guys to do it,
exactly.
While those Baseball Classic is not happening, I think that's a good way to get the young players going.
And in a seasonal standpoint, baseball makes the most money compared to the other four major sports.
Right, because
three major sports.
Because of the amount of games that they have, and the amount of obviously contracts and everything involved. Baseball does have a lot of ways that they need to utilize that money more.
And this will tie into I know I talked about this in previous Sideline Heel Take with that salary cap. If you get this incentivized program, you could build that salary cap. So it's a double-edged sword in each way, where you can create that salary cap, but you could give the players the money by having this tournament as well. Especially the younger players that don't make enough compared to the big athletes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I think it's a good idea. I think the thing about MLB is now they're open to doing new things.
Yeah.
So which is great to see, because obviously they're incorporating that new the system with challenging the ABS system. So they're open to new ideas, and that's good to see.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they take notes from the NBA about these incentivized tournaments or whatever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't gotta be like a crazy thing. Obviously, people are going to talk about, what if they sustain injuries? That's why you have these younger athletes out there. Like, you'll have your major players to get you through the games that you need to get through at the start of the tournament or whatever. And as it goes on, you incorporate these younger players, see what they got. If they want the money, they'll definitely go out and show them that they deserve the money.
Because it's obviously less risk versus going for the World Series win.
Right.
You know? So you have these incentivized tournaments where you allow your young players to show more and show out. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
For my Sideline Heel Take this week, it's going to be wrestling based, and it's going to be a topic that a lot of people has been trying to figure out what's going on in terms of control. So WWE is now under control of Triple H fully for about a few years now. I think it's been 3-4 years now where Triple H is now fully the person in control. And there's a lot of mixed bag reactions about this now, because obviously back then we had Vince McMahon pretty much having a full realm and reigns on that entire thing. But I want to say one thing, and I think my Sideline Heel Take this week is, I think Vince McMahon cared more about the wrestling future and growing it versus Triple H himself. And the reason why, don't get me wrong, obviously I think WWE is better under Triple H, storyline-wise, match quality-wise, and I guess overall getting more eyes on WWE because of his deals with TKO. And that's the big thing that happened, is this deal, which was actually going to be, honestly, no matter what, this deal was going to happen with Vince if he didn't get into those big allegations, because those deals were already getting set in stone. This deal was made by Vince, pretty much having good friends with Ari Emanuel, who was the leader of TKO. So it was set in stone there. It was made by Vince, but Triple H obviously took of it, and he ran with it, because now he's more of a face that WWE can push to be the person that takes WWE into the next realm. But the big thing why I think Vince McMahon cares more about wrestling fans and the future is, for example, the ticket pricing. So there's been a lot of issues going back and forth with a lot of ticket pricing issues for WWE where they're pricing out families. So one thing about Vince McMahon that he always talked about was he was able to make these shows affordable for fans and families to go attend these. And the reason why you want to do that is because, one, you create wrestling family lineages. These fans have probably been watching wrestling because their parents been watching wrestling, and it goes down and past that way. If you don't have people that are not taking their kids to wrestling shows now and just not even showing them because of how expensive it is nowadays to even watch wrestling because of all the streaming services and all the partnerships and all the deals that they have in place, it's getting more and more expensive to even watch WWE. So I can definitely see a lot of fans and a lot of families not even trying to watch it and not even going to the shows, not being able to experience the shows themselves. So it makes you think, okay, is Triple H only doing this for the money grab right now? And that's what it seems like right now. WWE is a huge cash grab right now. And it's been shown that, obviously, with the TKO, their whole mindset is we want to do everything now versus later and building the future. And you see it, especially with all the big deals that they have with Saudi Arabia, with the ESPN deals, and how expensive their streaming services are starting to become. And it's funny to see, like, I know one thing for sure is Hunter, Triple H, he's going to be the face, but with the TKO machine, that well-oiled machine that is, and how corporate it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they kick him out and boot him when everything starts to go wrong. And it started to look like that on this road to WrestleMania, where they decided to go back to Las Vegas, and now ticket sales are not hitting as much as what they did last year, and TKO is looking for someone to blame. I wouldn't be surprised if Triple H is the one to blame, and you never know. Like, the thing is, like, now WWE is under control of a management where there's not one person in control.
Yeah, it's like the board of directors.
It's a board of directors where they can actually get whoever is the leader of WWE out. And I have a bold theory that I want to end this sideline heel take on. I think in about 3 to 4 years, Triple H is going to be gone, and I think The Rock is going to be the person that takes control of WWE and pretty much has all direction, all storyline, whatever it is. I think he's going to take that role and step away from the Hollywood side, because at the end of the day, it's obvious his passion is wrestling. It always has been. He always talks about, every time you watch any interview about him doing any movie, he somehow ties it back to wrestling in every interview. If you ever watch him, it's pretty funny because he's doing, for example, like, there's like a bunch of movies that are probably coming out with him doing Jumanji and everything like that, and all those press releases for those movies, he somehow ties it back into wrestling. So it's in the back of his mind. Last year, he did come... Was it last year? Yeah, or 2 years ago at this point, where he did come on as a part of the board of directors member. That starts there. I think that was already set in stone and planted a seed by TKO right then and there. And when it's time for Triple H to be a scapegoat, he's going to get scapegoated, and I think The Rock slips in and gets that position.
I think the problem here is Vince McMahon, he basically grew this into this global thing, right?
Yeah.
And he pretty much did do it on his own. You know what I mean? And now Triple H, he has different investors, different people guiding him, telling him what to do.
Exactly. He's not his own boss.
Right. And I feel like that's his...
Even though he is his own boss, but he's really not.
That's his, like, fatal drawback, because he's not really given that full creative control that we expected, that how Vince really had it.
And then that goes back to the story, that the old thing that everybody always talks about. It's better to be your boss versus working for someone else.
Because TKO, they provide the insight to the WWE right now.
Yeah.
And fans don't like it. And the fact that they would blame Triple H for it is kind of messed up, because...
But who else is there to blame, That's the thing.
But I see it as TKO not doing their jobs right.
Yeah.
They should be the ones to say, step back here. Here's the blank check. Do whatever it is that you want to do. Make this more interesting. As far as like the ticket prices go, obviously, we live in a different time right now. Inflation's just crazy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're right. It was more viable to go to these wrestling shows toward like mid to late 2010s. It was just,
right.
60, 70
and it makes
bucks.
sense
So
because
now it's like $170, $200.
And it makes sense because why? Because like the TKO stuff gets involved. Like those money goes somewhere too.
Right now but I feel like that should also make the ticket prices cheaper, because they're already getting.
You would think, right?
Right, exactly. It's like a contradiction right there. But at the end of the day, I do agree with you. I just feel like Triple H, he's not getting the repertoire that he deserves.
And it leads to people not
not caring
about the product.
Yeah.
And that which leads to not sales, which
Exactly.
leads to not engagement, which leads to Triple H possibly getting out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if he's gone and someone else gets into that role, because like you said, now it's not WWE is not their own business. They're part of a cog machine where they have to pretty much listen to other people. So we'll see how it goes out, but that's my sideline heel take for this week. And that pretty much wraps up our episode for this week. And next week, we're going to talk about exactly the fallout of Raw and SmackDown, because now we're building straight to WrestleMania. We have our NBA recaps that we're always going to talk about. And we're going to see what next week we come up with whether we do blind rankings, whether we do quizzes, but that's going to be all saved up for next week. But thank you guys for joining us, and can't wait to see you guys next week. But take care. Peace.